The courthouse had an uneasy quiet that morning, a stillness that didn't feel like peace. It felt like pressure. Rivergate County Courthouse was used to echoes, lawyers barking objections, jurors shifting uncomfortably, bailiffs calling for order. But today, there was only a tense silence and the low hum of anticipation. Even the seasoned clerk looked up more than once at the heavy doors, as though expecting them to open to something unexpected. At exactly 9:58 a.m., Laila Morgan entered. Her presence wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. A tall black woman in a tailored charcoal gray suit, hair pulled into a tight bun, and calm carved into every inch of her posture. She carried no briefcase, no credentials on display, just a soft leather folder held with both hands. Her steps were measured, soft but firm, echoing faintly through the high ceiling like the ticking of a time bomb no one realized had already started. She wasn't a lawyer. She wasn't a politician. She wasn't famous. But the room shifted when she walked in. Laila Morgan wasn't used to being seen, at least not in ways that mattered. As a child, she'd learned to sit quietly in classrooms where her voice was overlooked, her name mispronounced, her presence underestimated. Her mother used to say, "Baby, don't let them silence you just because they don't know how to listen." Her mother had been a community nurse, often working late into the night tending to wounds the city left untreated. Growing up in Easton Heights, a neighborhood known more for its police raids than its resources, Laila saw the system from its darkest corners. Her mother stitched up bullet wounds without judgment, calmed addicts through withdrawals, and showed Laila the quiet power of service. The walls of their small apartment were covered not with awards or family portraits, but with books, pinned flyers about missing people, and unpaid medical bills. It was a home, but it was also a station of resistance. Laila escaped through education. She won scholarships, devoured books, and earned her degrees in criminal justice and forensic analysis. She studied not to climb ranks, but to peel back layers. Every system she dissected, every loophole she uncovered, was preparation, not for success, but for survival. She knew one day her knowledge wouldn't be a resume, it would be a shield. And that day had arrived. Travis Hill was only 17, a high school junior with a part-time job at a local mechanic's garage. No record, no history of violence, just a boy riding his bike home after a late shift. He wanted to be an engineer. He was saving up for a second-hand laptop. But to Officer Dean Mallory, he was a threat. The arrest report cited non-compliance and aggressive behavior. The news repeated those words like scripture. But Laila had seen it. And she'd heard it. She had been across the street, locking up the lab after running a late-night systems backup. She saw the flashing lights, heard the scuffle, watched Travis go down hard, face to the pavement, handcuffed and still struck twice more. She didn't just witness it. She recorded the aftermath on her phone. But more than that, the lab's exterior security system, linked to the city's sensor grid, picked up the audio from the incident. She didn't sleep that night. Instead, she parsed through the recordings, aligning time codes, running voice isolation filters, and confirming the chain of custody. It wasn't just evidence. It was truth, neatly documented, time-stamped, and undeniable. She submitted it quietly to Homeland Internal Review, which logged the chain of custody. And when Travis was charged with assaulting a peace officer, she stepped forward. No one expected much from her. Just another witness. Except she wasn't just another witness. Judge Raymond Tillman had ruled from that bench for 22 years. A relic of another era. Though he'd argue he was a product of experience, he was curt, brash, and known for his disdain of long-winded testimonies. especially from black women. Layla's reputation didn't precede her, but her presence disrupted the courtroom the moment she took the stand. "Let's keep this short," Judge Tillman said, barely glancing up. "Some of us have calendars." Layla didn't flinch. "I'll speak only as long as truth requires." Assistant District Attorney Carl Monroe began the questioning. Young, white, and ambitious, he treated the courtroom like a performance stage, confident that charm and aggression were interchangeable. He was smug in the way a man is when he's never truly been challenged. "You claim to have witnessed the altercation between Officer Mallory and the defendant, Mr. Hill?" "I don't claim. I witnessed it." "You were walking home from work?" "Yes." "And you were, what?" "Across the street." "On the corner of Easton and Martin." "It's where my lab is. I was locking up." "Convenient timing." "It's called routine," the judge interrupted. "Counselor, let's not waste time on her commute." Monroe gave a tight smile. "Right. So you say Officer Mallory used excessive force?" "I saw him strike the boy after he was restrained." "Are you trained in law enforcement?" "No." "In use of force policy?" "I'm trained in digital forensics, combat analysis, and acoustic pattern recognition." The courtroom hushed. You could feel the weight shifting. Layla wasn't defensive. She was deliberate. "I see," Monroe said, suddenly cautious. "And how does that relate to this case?" "I analyzed the audio from a city surveillance node. It's geotagged and time-stamped. It recorded Officer Mallory's voice, clearly instructing his partner to say the boy resisted, even though he didn't." "You're saying you hacked city surveillance?" "I had access. The lab is part of a civilian infrastructure research program. Everything was documented and forwarded to Homeland Internal Review before I requested to testify." The judge leaned forward. "Are you seriously suggesting we halt this trial over something that isn't officially part of the evidence record?" Layla reached into her folder. "It is now. The clerk has the chain of custody. The flash drive includes raw audio, metadata, and log files." Judge Tillman narrowed his eyes. "You do like to talk, don't you?" She stared directly at him. "Only when the truth has waited long enough." The bailiff delivered the flash drive to the tech clerk. The screen blinked to life. There was no video, just a static waveform and sound. "Just another punk. Say he reached for your belt." "Even though he didn't?" "Doesn't matter. Write it right." Then a third voice, Monroe. "Keep it clean. We don't need another community tantrum." The silence that followed was heavier than any verdict. Monroe leapt to his feet. "Your Honor, this is being taken out of context. This recording was never vetted by prosecution." "Sit down," Tillman barked. Monroe blinked. "But I said sit." Layla stood slowly. "You said I talk too much, but you never had a problem with men who lie louder." She turned to the jury. "Black women are always told to lower our voices. Be smaller. Be quieter. But silence has never protected us. Not in neighborhoods. Not in schools. Not in courtrooms like this." Tillman slammed his gavel. "You're out of order." "No," she said. "This courtroom is." An internal review began that day. Monroe was suspended within 48 hours. Homeland confirmed the file's authenticity. Judge Tillman was forced to recuse himself as questions about his prior conduct emerged. News outlets began pulling transcripts from previous cases. Patterns emerged: dismissed testimonies, blocked evidence, disproportionate rulings. The case was reassigned. Charges against Travis were dropped. Officer Mallory was placed under federal investigation. Layla returned to the courtroom the next week, but she didn't testify. She sat in the back row, observing. Still. Steady. Her presence was no longer questioned. It was felt. The new judge acknowledged her with a quiet nod. The headline the next day didn't name her, but people in Easton Heights knew. So did the courtroom. And so did every young black girl who'd been told she talked too much. Because that day, her words didn't just speak, they shook the walls. And the truth finally echoed.